attorneys at The Advocates can't actually prevent you from being in a cycling accident, they will be by your side to support you following your accident. Our legal services won't cost you a dime out of pocket, so when you need an injury attorney, call us. We're The Advocates, your Utah personal injury attorneys. You didn't deserve to be in an accident, but you do deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, the Monty Show. Happy Monday. It is the 6th of May. Don't start. Here on the Monty Show, presented by The Advocates. TheAdvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. We tell you every single day on the show, you didn't deserve to get in that accident, but you do deserve to have somebody fight for you. Fight for your rights. Fight for what's just. Get you what you deserve. That's why you trust The Advocates, the best injury attorneys in the business. You can find them at TheAdvocates.com. Oh, by the way, did I mention that they are doing their annual bike drive? The Advocates do a lot in the community. And I think as we get into summer and you think about the underprivileged or, the kids out there who don't have bikes, who don't have things to do over the summer, the Advocates are working to prevent that this whole week, culminating with Friday if Jake decides to show up to work on Friday, which, hey, I'm not guaranteeing. But if Jake decides to show up to work on Friday, we will do what we usually do, which is Giving Friday. On the Fridays that Jake tends to give, a rip. Anyway, the point is, when Jake works on Fridays, we do Giving Friday. Are you working this Friday?
I'm not sure. I'll comment later.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. Are you ready to finally bow down and put respect on Donovan Mitchell's name?
No.
Because what do you mean no?
No, did what he was supposed to do. He won a playoff series.
On his own, by himself.
I think Darius Garland helped him out yesterday
No,
a little bit.
Here's Darius Garland's line. You tell me.
You don't think that corner three was a big deal?
No, I do not. I think Darius Garland was shit the entire game.
Okay.
I mean, you want to talk about somebody not doing their job. Darius Garland yesterday got outscored by Paolo Banchero. He got outscored by Wendell Carter Jr.
Uh-huh.
He got outscored by Jalen Suggs.
Mm-hmm.
Because Darius Garland, he of 3 of 13 in a game 7.
Made the shot that he needed to.
But you'll put credit to Darius Garland, but you won't give credit to Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, he won a playoff series, dude. 83 points in the series. Great job, Don. Really
39
great
points, 5 dimes, a steal, 9 rebounds, 15 to 17 from the free throw line. I would remind you, the only one of the Cavs that showed up.
So let me get this right.
Mm-hmm.
So 7-game series, 84 points a series. That's 12 points a game.
Okay.
And we're supposed to be saying that, man, this is an incredible job.
He is the only guy that showed up in this series.
Yeah, he had a big game last night.
He is the only guy that showed up in this series.
Yeah.
You're just unwilling to say it.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously, without him, they don't win the series. I agree with that. But it's not like this guy's doing 30 points a night and just dominating the series. He's not. It's just not the case. And it only went 7 because the Cavs as a team are not as good as they need to be. And on some nights that's on Don, and other nights it's on Garland.
All I can say is I am shocked that you would not put respect on his name today.
Well, what respect
after
do you
the
want to
Cleveland
give the guy?
Cavaliers? He has no help in Cleveland. I mean, you're talking about Karis LeVert is their second most impactful player in this series. A bench guy. I mean, it's awfully difficult to criticize Donovan Mitchell this morning when they knock off the Orlando Magic, whose only job was to stop Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
It was remarkable. I don't know. I'm here for it. I think Donovan Mitchell is the is the absolute stud that Cleveland's been looking for. I think he carried them. I think that they're going to get their ass handed to them by Boston because there's only so long you can go when you have no depth. And I think that unless, the guy you say is the best player in the NBA, Darius Garland, somehow shows up and, I know you think he's better than Mike and LeBron.
Right.
That's bullshit.
Or excuse me, LeCap.
Right.
I know you think he's better than
James.
Mike and LeCap.
Yeah.
But, Darius Garland may actually need to score occasionally throughout the game.
Yeah, well, if he could just do 12 points a night, he'll be the best player that ever lived. So,
apparently that's above his ability.
Apparently.
Even though he's Anthony Edwards incarnate.
Right.
Your guy, Darius Garland. So it's going to be this kind of show on a Monday.
You're being silly with this Donovan Mitchell stuff, dude. Yes, he won the series. Yes, he carried them against the Orlando Magic. But again, it's not like this is not like some iconic signature win, dude. You beat the Magic, dude.
It's Cleveland.
And what about it?
It is a big deal that the Cavaliers won a playoff series.
Yeah.
He is the best player they've had since LeCap.
I agree with that. Yes.
And you just won't give him the credit he's due.
I think I'm being fair to Don, dude. You
that he sucks and he's not talented. That's not being fair.
I didn't say he sucks.
Pretty
Look at
sure
his
you
season averages, 26 points a game. This guy's doing less than half of what he typically does.
The last 3 games for Donovan Mitchell in this series: game 1, 30 points; game 2, 23 points; game 4, loss, 13 points; game 4, loss, 18 points; game 3, win, 28 points; game 4, 50 points, lost.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that Donovan Mitchell sucks. He's a terrible basketball player. I get that he does not show up in the playoffs. In that 50-point performance, he had 50. The single greatest player ever.
Luka all the time.
Ever.
What do you say about Luka all the time?
Darius Garland had 21. They had Max Strus had 10 points in that game. Nobody else in double figures. Marcus Morris, 2 points. Evan Mobley, the greatest center you've ever seen, 3 points. They got a grand total of 10 points off their bench.
Listen, you're trying to make it like I'm hating on Don. I'm simply saying that this is not like
the idea that you're saying he didn't show up and he only showed up in one game is striking. 39, 50, and 28 in his last 3 games. I would also remind you that he struggled mightily from 3 in this series, shooting 25%. But I would also remind you he shot 83% from the line. And because he was struggling, he got to the free throw line 15 to 17 yesterday. I think Donovan Mitchell's a superstar. I think that Donovan Mitchell
Mitchell.
He's
a superstar. What does that mean?
That means he can, if he has even a minimal amount of help, he can carry his team. And when he scores 50 and you get 10 total points off his bench, that's a problem. Is he LeCap? He's not. He's not a guy that...
Is he Jason Tatum?
Yes, he's better than Jason Tatum. He is a more clutch...
He's never been to the finals. How can you say he's better than Jason Tatum?
He played for the Jazz and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think it's...
So you would rather have Jason Tatum?
It's strong. Yeah, Jason Tatum at 21 years old going to the NBA Finals, I think it's pretty legit. Yeah.
You'd rather have Jason. I'd rather have Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell at least has a dog mentality. Donovan Mitchell, and everybody said he doesn't defend. Donovan Mitchell played sensational defense in this series.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly gotten better that was an early Donovan career thing that he didn't play defense. He's a good defender. You can't hate on his defense. Look, dude, I just think that it's great. Yes, you want a playoff series. Now show us what you can do.
If you put him on the Knicks, tell me they're not.
Yes, they're not a finals team.
They're a championship contender.
Yes.
If you put him with a guy like Jalen Brunson,
yes,
they're a championship contender.
The real question is if you put him with Jaylen Brown or the Celtics, have the Celtics won a championship already? That's the real
I
question.
think they have systematic issues in Boston. I think they should sweep Cleveland. They are deeper, they are better, they are more talented.
Mhm.
Coaching's an issue in Boston. I don't think there's any doubt.
Mhm.
We're going to see over the next 3 weeks. They should dominate Cleveland. Cleveland's not deep. Cleveland's not talented. He is the only dog on that team. That's it. They have one guy in Cleveland. And they still found a way to beat Orlando, who I don't know if you're an Orlando Magic fan, I don't know how you're not excited. If you, and I know we have a lot of, Floridians that listen to the show. If anybody wants to explain to me how you are not excited about what you saw in that series, whether it was Anthony, whether it was obviously Banchero,
Yeah, I mean, I'd be excited. I'd also be a little salty about the way that game went yesterday. He
He-
got out to a big lead and then just threw it away.
and why did they come back? Because Donovan Mitchell was willing to give up the basketball in two critical situations. One was that Strus three,
Mhm.
and the other was that fast break where he clearly could have gone to the basket and he kicked it. And again, my point is you need another dog on that team in Cleveland. But all of this to say they should go to Boston to die this round. They should. Tomorrow night in Boston, they should get beat by 25.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that I would agree. Boston is a deeper team and theoretically should win the series, but again, it's the same thing. Boston right now, you can't trust them, and yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It is a good accomplishment to win that series. It is, but I have trouble with, hey, this guy is a superstar. I think that they would be Eastern Conference Final good if he had, if Darius Garland was like a, all-star every single year, like 20-point a night guy every single time type guy. Yeah, you're probably an Eastern Conference Finals team, but that's just not where they're at right now. And I don't know. You can't tell me this is going to keep Donovan in Cleveland, this series win. You can't tell me he's not going to go.
This will get Donovan out of Cleveland.
Yeah, I think this is what he needed to do to go out and get to the Knicks or get to the Heat, and get to a better spot.
To average 28 points, 5 boards, 4.5 dimes, and a steal and a half, and not shoot the ball well, tells you I think Donovan Mitchell will forever be undervalued. Now, having said that,
I mean, is that fair though, dude? Is that fair? Like, if you look at Donovan Mitchell's career and winning versus his performances in the game, because that's his conundrum. He doesn't win enough games, but he puts out a ton of big time performances.
I want to see him on a team that is a legit, because in Jazz fans, I know are going to get all pissed when I say this. They were never a championship contender in Utah.
Yeah, I would agree.
The way that those Jazz teams were built, they were never a championship contender. Rudy was, when you're trying to run shit through Rudy Gobert, why is Rudy Gobert so effective in Minnesota? Because he's like the 37th option.
Yeah.
I mean, the usher and the courtside seats is getting a look offensively before Rudy. Right? But they're not asking him to contribute offensively, so he is. They're not built on him blocking shots, so they're actually decent defensively. They've got 3 better options minimum in Minneapolis than they have before Rudy Gobert. 3 minimum.
Yeah.
And you look at what they had in Utah. It was Donovan and it was Rudy. And that's my biggest complaint is I've never seen Donovan Mitchell surrounded with a balanced, talented roster that's got at least a player that's as good as Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
He's never been in that situation.
Yeah, I would agree. No, I would agree with that for sure.
So you put him in New York, where all things being equal, he and Jalen Brunson's a better player, I would think, than Donovan Mitchell. I think they play completely different positions, completely different roles, so that's always hard to line up. But I think Jalen Brunson is a completely different package than Don is.
I would agree.
But they're also exceptionally compatible. They are the perfect fit for each other. Now, is Donovan Mitchell I mean, if you think about the 2-3 guys in this league, is Donovan Mitchell a Jimmy Butler, a Devin Booker, he's not. He's not on that level. He's not yet.
I don't know. I think I mean, I have to say, like, again, Book's got the NBA Finals appearance working for him, obviously. But I think it's a really interesting discussion when you compare him and Book in their career so far. I mean, obviously, Book had several years on garbage Suns teams, and then they started to improve that roster. And obviously, last year, not this season, but the season before with Monty Williams was a great season for them. But the reality is Book has had more talent to work with than Don has had. And so he's gone further. But, it does beg the question, like, can you really say that Book has had that much better of a career? Like,
I think he has.
Okay, well, how do you figure that?
I think that Devin Booker is a complete player. I think he is a guy that you look at how he scores. You look at the depth and the dynamic offensive power that he is. He's a guy that does very much. They're stylistically the same. Book's just better at everything, right? So Devin Booker has never been the lone guy on a team where it's him or they lose, which is what Donovan Mitchell's been essentially. And it certainly is that in Cleveland. And Devin Booker with Kevin Durant, with Chris Paul, I don't know, is Bradley Beal impactful? I don't know. He still put up almost the exact same numbers as Donovan. But he doesn't, his 3-point percentage when he struggled in their run against Minnesota from 3, there's no question about it. He still shot 35%. When he's under 40% from 3, you're like, damn, dude, he is struggling. But he's still putting up 49, 23, and 20 points in those games. You're never going to look at Devin Booker and say, well, he's the reason they're losing. You're going to look at him and say he's the reason they're winning. He is arguably the best mid-range player in the NBA. He can score from anywhere on the floor. He is a very good defender now. He gets to the line, he shoots threes, he gets to the hoop. Donovan Mitchell is a good player. Devin Booker is an elite scorer, in my opinion.
Mm.
And I think he has had, whatever their situation is in Phoenix, there is dysfunction. The more and more that I look at this and I talk to people, I do believe that Kevin Durant or Devin Booker will be traded. I just don't think that there's any value in Brad Beal right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you get any value for him at all. I truly do not. Kevin Durant would be in demand. If he was made available and agreed to go, he would be in demand by just about every team in the NBA. Who's saying no to Devin Booker or Kevin Durant?
Yeah, I mean, nobody, obviously, that have huge value.
Tremendous value.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it makes sense for the Suns when you look at their draft situation and, like where they're at money-wise. That's going to be the hard part, is the money. Like, I think that, the Phoenix just doesn't have a ton of flexibility, to make a deal work. So they would need to find somebody who, really wanted to get that deal done. And obviously there's always a handful of teams, right? I mean, your nameplate teams are always going to be interested, right? Like the Knicks are always going to be on the hunt, whether it's Don or Book or KD or who the hell ever. They know they need one more, and they're always going to be on the hunt for that reason. So, there's going to be a market for those guys, but I don't know. I would be more inclined to think that Phoenix would trade KD first over Book. When you look at age, you look at, the career arc, you look at, where, Kevin Durant, has proven that he can go anywhere and make you a title contender, like anywhere. Book's never been traded before. Book's never been in a different market. He's never had to go through an adjustment period where he's learned how to play with, different guys in a different market
100%.
in a different organization. So
100%.
I mean, it's not a knock on him as a dude. I just think that it's like KD's track record of being traded and going somewhere and taking Brooklyn to the I don't know,
dominating everywhere he's been.
Yeah, like I mean, it's just very clear that you can do that with KD, and I think the problem is if this incarnation of the Suns doesn't work, I think we could be looking at Book's last contract in Phoenix, and that's the other thing that I think Phoenix has to weigh is like, how can we make this work? Because, you can't tell me Booker is just going to sit there forever and not. You can't tell me he's going to do what Dame did, which is stay on his first team for way too long in a league where guys get traded and move around constantly. You can't tell me the guy's not going to go and look for greener pastures somewhere.
Hey, look at that. Jason Kidd, who was rumored to be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, gets a multi-year massive extension from the Mavericks.
Why the hell would he leave the Mavericks? Like, who the hell thought that was going to happen?
I think if they hadn't extended him, he would after the season was over, he'd have talked to the Lakers.
Yeah, but look at the progress
they've
made. Look at the progress they've made.
Yeah.
You're finally getting traction there on some level.
But it's the Lakers. And again, did you get some phlegm on your arm there? Then what kind of sneeze really was it?
Yeah.
It's the Lakers. And people can be pissed all they want. The Lakers are a better job than the Knicks or excuse me, than the Mavericks are.
I would agree, but there's so much uncertainty there. You don't know, like as a head coach, if you're going to go and coach the Lakers, that's a volatile job.
But you just went to the Western Conference Finals. They always do what they've got to do to have talent. Darvin Ham shouldn't have been that guy. I think that's the caliber of coach. Jason Kidd, for better or for worse, off-court issues, you cannot question the fact that he has made the Dallas Mavericks a better team.
Mm.
He's made them a better team. There's no doubt about that. You hire guys in Frank Vogel, who's a good, not a great coach. You hire guys like Darvin Ham, who had no business taking that job because they needed an experienced leader, and you let Lee GM, run your team, and you turn into the LeCap Lakers. What do you think is going to happen? And if you've got any balls at all, you're going to go hire the best available coach, who I think is Mike Budenholzer. That's who I would hire.
Yeah.
But if I could get Jason Kidd, I would hire him.
Well, and I love all these videos coming out now on the accounts that follow the Lakers like all season long, where they're showing videos of LeBron being all pissed off with Darvin Ham late in that series. And somehow they got a video that was near the Lakers bench where LeBron's like, give me the board. I got this. I'm drawing up the play. So, I mean, there's clearly a lot of discontent with, what Darvin Ham was trying to run and trying to do. And I don't know, man. I think the Lakers and LeBron can win one more together, but they have to create a dynamic where the head coach they hire and LeBron are on the same page, not just because they have to be, but because philosophically they see the game the same way.
They're still trying to replace Phil, man.
Yeah, they are.
I've told you this for...
Dude, Phil was iconic. You don't just replace Phil. It's going to take you a long time.
There was nobody questioning Phil Jackson's tactics.
Yeah.
There was... It is... I don't understand why Phil Jackson is such a divisive figure. The guy won as a coach. As a coach, he just was magnificent.
What does he have, 10?
He is he is a guy that you never question. Are you questioning Darvin Ham? Every single player questioning Darvin Ham. You better go hire somebody that, without question, it commands respect. I don't know who that is.
Well, look at the D'Lo situation this season. Like, we don't know whose exact decision or idea it was to put D'Lo on the bench for 4 games. So, like, who the hell decided to do that? I mean, did it work a little bit? Yeah, sure. It sparked D'Lo a little bit. It sent a message, but whose idea was it? And that's why I say, like, for better or for worse, when you have LeBron on your team, it's him and everybody else at an organizational level, not just like a basketball level. Like, it's LeBron. How can we feed him and put him in a position to go and run down another ring?
They have the ability to add. The Lakers have financial flexibility and draft compensation to go and add. You better hire a stud for a head coach, and you had better make pragmatic decisions with that roster. And Spencer Dinwiddie ain't getting it done. And at some point, you are going to have to go and get a guy that LeBron's going to respect and listen to.
Yeah, well,
and if he's not going to respect and listen to it, it's time to move on from LeBron.
And I thought Dinwiddie at the time was the right decision. I mean, he was playing really good basketball, and then came to your team and just flopped, like just totally died. And I don't know. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't think it's necessarily the easiest thing to go to a LeBron James led team and have success. Like, you either have to be like, like Donnie level good, Book level good. Like, you got to be one of those guys, or you just need to be a role player who shuts up and shoots threes out of the corner. Like, one or the other, because ultimately, like, you look at, we all remember the iconic moment where J.R. Smith, forgets, what the clock looks like in the NBA finals. Like, it always seems like there's one of those guys on LeBron's team that he's always blaming. This year was Taurean Prince, right? Always leaning on Taurean, always saying it was his fault when he would turn it over. And that's why I say, if I'm the Lakers, obviously, yes, the coaching staff, but I'm bringing LeBron in and I'm saying, dude, like, what do you see? What do you need? What is it? Because that's how it has to be.
I still maintain Anthony Davis should be the priority there, because you kept him healthy this year. However you did that, and the guy was an MVP caliber player. He was how he isn't more in the conversation for defensive player of the year this year, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea. But, and before we get to, what we usually wind up talking about, and I'm tired of talking about football. Knicks and Pacers tonight. 5:30 TNT. If the NBA leaves TNT,
yeah,
are you rooting for or against Charles Barkley getting a job?
I'm
rooting against.
I have to say, yeah, I don't know that I'd root against him, but I'm not like heartbroken. I have to say, like, I'm not like, God, like, I prefer, the NBA and TNT crew over a lot of other pregame and postgame and halftime shows. I can tell you that, but I'm not like, damn, I'm going to miss them. Like, it's just, yeah.
I'm not a Charles Barkley guy.
Yeah.
But this story, so Ernie Johnson has already said he will not leave TNT. He will not leave Turner. So if the NBA goes to NBC, let's say, or wherever they end up, if they're on the Cock or on NBC, whatever, it won't be Ernie Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see, because I don't think that Charles Barkley, I think Kenny Smith and Shaq do a really good job. I think Charles
Agreed.
Barkley is constantly full of shit.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't care what he has to say. I think he is a blowhard. I think he's a guy who really likes to hear himself talk and says sensational things, and he's almost never correct.
Yeah.
Almost never correct. So I thought that was interesting. Knicks and Pacers tonight.
Yeah.
I think this is what we deserve in the Eastern Conference.
Hey, I got to talk about Tyrese Halliburton, right? I mean, obviously, this is where now you're getting an opportunity. Now you're going to get an opportunity to play your rival, one of the best teams in the East, for a trip to the conference finals. And I think that it's time. Like, Tyrese Halliburton's another guy that we have to talk about. Like had a couple of good games last round, had a couple of crappy games last round. Is he a carry your team guy, or is he a once in a while guy? Like, that's what we need to see.
This could be the series to cap, because one of the things I thought was so interesting about this weekend, beyond the fact we got 7 feet of snow in Utah, was that I thought it was one of the best sports weekends in recent memory.
Yeah.
And as an old man, I occasionally take naps. So Saturday, I was waiting for the Kentucky horse murder race to go off.
Right.
And I fell asleep, and I woke up right as it ended. And so I had to actually rewind it. And it's one of the best Kentucky Derbies we've ever seen. NASCAR last night ended in the closest finish in the history of NASCAR. You look at this weekend in sports, the NBA certainly was front and center. Major League Baseball, the gambler finally getting off, hitting 2 home runs. I just thought it was a really...
Well, Monty, he was over on the weekend. Can you believe it?
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a really good...
Dude, you're selling the weekend short. The embarrassment known as the Toronto Maple Leafs was leading the weekend.
Yeah, I don't think they were embarrassing. I watched all of that game, and I thought the Leafs got a terrible bounce. And Pasternak finishing in overtime to send Boston on is incredibly disappointing. But I thought that game was, we were watching that game. Mrs. Monty and I were dialed on that game. I was clearly rooting for the Maple Leafs.
You really think they lost because they got a bad bounce?
Yeah, they got an incredible. You can't. I've played a lot of hockey. I've covered a lot of hockey. That was not an intentional pass.
No,
I think that pass. And if you didn't see it, Boston dumped a puck into the far corner. It's a textbook dumping, right? So the way that Boston runs, they're and in overtime, you're trying to get everything to the net. Just keep that in mind. Pastrnak is busting ass down the right board, and they dump it in on the diagonal. It hit the lower part of the board and just sprung right out in front of the net, right to Pasta. Forehand, backhand into the net, like in perfect bounce. You're in overtime. I also think Toronto could have skated harder and could have anticipated that, because that's not new for Boston.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What stood out to me is, and I do agree, that's a very friendly bounce for Boston. There's no question about it. But what I noticed was, watching the play develop, Pasternak's at the red line and the defense is still at the blue line. Like, he's gaining on them big time, hustling down there. And I just was surprised that, like, he was allowed to just free skate right into their end. I mean, you rarely see guys able to just flow right into the zone. And so I don't know. I just think at some point that Leafs team, the way it's currently set up, is going to get changed. And I don't know. You got to get over the hump, dude.
Boston in Game 7 is not where Toronto wants to be, because historically that has been a disaster.
Yeah,
but I thought it was one of the best sports weekends of the year by far. That Horseface didn't win in F1, I thought was a really good moment for F1.
Well, and that Lando did win. Lando's a feel-good guy in the sport.
And that Horseface didn't. I mean, that he found himself back in his stable,
in the Kentucky Derby,
back in his stable, eating apples and carrots. Horseface. Look, I'm just glad that Red Bull did not win, and Horseface did not win. It was a good day. Did I watch? Fuck no, I didn't watch. I'm not watching F1 until he's not winning. I mean, it is. Yeah. So F1 was good. Watched a good part of the NASCAR race. Made the mistake of watching The Firm on Amazon Prime, which is a terrible TV series. I mean, it was awful. The Firm as a TV series sucked. The movie's fantastic. So there you go. That's my weekend in a nutshell.
Okay.
And the snow. And terrible golf Saturday. Mike Smith, hello. Jizzy, first one in, hello. OG Gary, Pete Forte, Dakota Putin. John Wett, good to see you. Hope you're well.
See, his name's John Dryce.
Caps Lock Friday Coug on the CW. Good to see you. Aaron Wilson, Big Daddy Magic. Stop sending me pictures of you and women. I don't care.
Victor's the way.
Have you ever considered joining in public speaking circuit?
Oh,
I could, I guess. UW fan Jim, Roma Dunze. Morning and go Dogs. There you go. Stepanik. Good morning, Americans. Hello. Hope you're doing well. Jeremiah. Adam Monks. What's up in the Jeezy? Good to see everybody this morning. Steve Stepanik says, come on, everyone, hit the like button. The Monty spanks Jake. Yeah, that's what I do. I spank Jake.
Right.
Is Mobley a bust? Has to be in the conversation.
Yeah, it has to be.
Has to be in the conversation.
What did he get drafted? What is he, a top 5 pick, I think?
Number 1 overall every year, Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley is a disappointment.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Q Sam, what's up? Giggity. Don went to work, 29 points, and carried his team. Not good enough, apparently. Don sucks. He's not very good at basketball.
Didn't say he sucks, dude.
I'm just paraphrasing.
Yeah.
I believe you said he's horrible.
Right. That's what I said.
I think you said D'Lo's a better player.
Right. Yeah. Better career,
OG Gary, give Cleveland the pro rata they deserve, Jake.
Nah.
Bobby Fowler, to be fair, Mitchell was 11 of 27, 2 of 8 from 3.
To be fair, in what sense?
What does that mean?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Rick Forrester, Brunson is better than Mitchell any day. Well, I don't think anybody said he wasn't.
Yeah, well, I think the only question, too, because I love the conversation of Brunson and Donnie playing together. The only question would be, Brunson's adjustment because he's asked to carry so much for them and he plays in the paint so much. It would be really curious to see like how they would work Donovan Mitchell into that offense because you'd have to have a lot more motion working with those two on the floor together. So it would be, I think, I hope the Knicks go out and make a run at him. I really do. But it's going to be between them and Miami to get Donovan Mitchell.
I don't know. I look at the rest of that Knick starting five because you're playing five guys. I mean, Mitchell Robinson's going to get minutes in this series. Will he get a lot of minutes? I don't know, but I would think so. Hartenstein is an average player, but you look at the guys that matter to the Knicks are very clearly Brunson. I think Anunoby's incredibly important in this series, and I think Hart and DiVincenzo are going to have defensive masterpieces for them to beat Indiana because I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't know that the Knicks can win a grinded out series. I'm not sure because you almost never get anything off their bench. Nothing. And which is great. And Josh Hart has to continue to play at the level that he's playing at. And if he does, they'll be a better team. But if you're Dante DiVincenzo, don't you have to shoot 45, 50% in your opportunities in this series for them to win? I think you do. I think you do. And they're probably going to have to shoot, I would assume, from three. If the Knicks shoot under 40%, they'll lose this series. I just don't see. That's why Donovan Mitchell needs to be there. That's why Devin Booker needs to be there.
Right.
Because I don't believe that you have anything other than a Jalen Brunson, who I think is a franchise level star, and a bunch of role players on that. Like Hartenstein and Robinson, neither one of them is an elite level center.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd say about Robinson is he can play good enough defense for you to win. Like he's someone who, like, against Embiid in the few minutes we got against those two matching up in that series, like he was able to bang with Embiid a little bit. He's quick enough to stay with guys. Like the only question is going to be, what is Indiana going to do offensively in this series to get looks? Because if it's going to be on the simpler side, like if it's just going to be a couple of screens, drive and kick style offense, I think that the Knicks can more than hang in this series. But if Halliburton is going to go to another level, which I think he is capable of, if he gets to another level and he becomes a big problem in this series, that's where I think the Knicks get in trouble. Yeah,
and I wonder who their number two will be.
Yeah.
I think it's a legit question if Siakam's a big game player. I don't even know that Halliburton's a big game player.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Halliburton's got proving to do in this series. This is his first chance to really kind of show out. Like, we had this conversation several years ago about Book. Like, hey, like, this is the first time he's really getting into the postseason. Like, hey, first chance for him. And he did have some big games in that second round series. I can't remember who they played, but I remember talking about it. And I'm seeing the same trend with Halliburton, where it's like, this guy can score, but is this guy number two, like on a championship team? Or is this somebody who's going to rise into being, a number one on a really good team?
That's interesting. Very interesting. Mike Smith says, I'm old. Every time I see or hear someone talking about Brunson, I think poker legend Doyle Brunson. Dead.
Who the fuck is that guy?
I thought you were going to say Rick Brunson, but no. Mike Smith, Jake keeps denying Caps Lock Friday. J2H is a Caps Lock cock blocker. Some of us don't like to work. Others of us do. Jake is not one of them.
Yeah.
Stepanik, I'm glad Hamlin didn't win Kansas. Okay. I mean, that's fine. Stepanik, I probably need to watch more hockey. The closest team to watch is in Wichita.
Oh, the Bruins Leafs series was outstanding. Absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, I agree. Stepanik, naps are good for old men, Monty. I don't get to take a lot of naps.
When is the last time, and I relish this weekend. This weekend was the first weekend in quite some time where we got a day just to chill. and that was nice.
Yeah, the problem is I hate my couch. I'm 6'3". I'm too tall for my couch, so
Can you measure it?
I don't love. Like I took a nap yesterday, woke up with a headache because the way my neck was like it's just not. I don't have the most comfortable couch to nap on.
But if you
at least not for me.
if you did, you probably would enjoy it a lot more.
Napping?
Yeah.
No, I'd rather be out playing golf. I'd rather be out going to a park or, doing whatever.
Mhm.
I've lost my love of sitting around doing nothing on the weekends. I don't love to be, I do hate that the weekends go by so fast, and I wish that I could retire as a multimillionaire, but that's not ever going to be me. When you do this for a living, you're never going to retire as a multimillionaire. Just know that. So, did anyone else see the Derby finish? Verstappen didn't win for once. You mean horse face?
So, Dakota, have you been listening to the show today, dude?
He hasn't.
Like we literally mentioned that.
Yeah. Stepanek, you need a recliner, Monty. I have no choice right now. I have a recliner, but when I sit on the couch, I sit with my wife. So if I sit in the recliner and she's on the couch, it's not really
It doesn't maximize efficiency.
No. No, it doesn't. Brandon Butler, the question is, can Don give up his ego enough to play with Brunson? Like, Don give up his ego?
I don't know that Don's got a huge ego.
I
dude.
don't think he does
I
at all.
think that the concern I would have is that Don is not Don's not the guy that wants to spot up and wait for the ball. Don's always been on ball decision maker, facilitating your offense guy, right? Whether he's the one shooting it or, like you pointed out, like the driving kick situation last night, he's always been that guy. And I think if you're playing with Jalen Brunson, it's a different feel. I truly believe we've never seen Don on a team where he can be off the ball. I don't know Donovan Mitchell as an off the ball player. I don't know what that looks like. I know, I know what like Devin Booker looks like off the ball. I know what, Jaylen Brown or Tatum looks like off the ball. But I don't think Don's ever really had that opportunity. And I don't know. Like, I'm inclined to think that'd be great for his career, but I don't know. I mean, who the hell knows? Like, we'd have to see.
I don't know either. I think it's very interesting when you look at Don gets a bad rap. Don needs to win a championship because I think Jazz fans will always, and I'm not saying Brandon Butler, you're saying this. I think Jazz fans will always be crusty about Donovan Mitchell. I think Jazz fans blame Donovan Mitchell incoherently.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to me. I think there will forever be an irrational level of hate for Don. I think some of it is because he's a black man. And I think that's a huge factor in Utah. And I think that there was this irrational belief that Rudy Gobert was the solution and Don was the problem.
Yeah, I don't think that Don, a lot of the heat he gets from Jazz fans is his own doing. I think, with all due respect, Jazz fans are very volatile and irrational, to say the least. And I think that, Don's reputation, in my opinion, league-wide is he's really good. He just has some winning to do. And I think there are a lot of guys on that list. And I just think that Donovan Mitchell, what happens to Donovan Mitchell when he finally gets to the NBA Finals, or he finally gets to?
That's a really interesting question.
To like the next level, and that's why I'm saying, like, in this series against the Celtics, like, not that I'm saying it's going to happen, but if they were to find a way to beat the Celtics, then you'd have to start talking about Don as like hey, dude, this guy just beat a team that he had no business beating. And I don't care what you say about how bad the Celtics played. He went out and gave him the business. Like this, like that. So my point is, I just think that Donovan Mitchell has some winning to do. Yes, he can put 50 up on any night. The guy can score the basketball. I don't disagree with that. But what I do disagree with is that this guy should be in the same conversation with the best guys in the league. I think that he has proving to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. We're arguing over couches versus recliners. Mike Smith says he just got a good recliner. See Me on the Big Screen says best couch I ever bought was a Love Sack sectional, easily expandable. Actually sat in a Love Sack. They're not bad. Mike Smith, yeah, I sleep in mine, Steve Stepanek. You sleep in your recliner.
There's two types of recliners, though, that we have to kind of delineate from. There's the recliner that's like a more traditional, like chair recliner. And then there's yours is a little bit more of a lower profile square.
I have a European
recliner.
style couch.
Yeah. And I think that feel is different. Like it is.
But see, here's the problem. I chose, instead of a new couch, I chose love. Instead of a new couch,
This is actually pretty funny.
I chose happiness. Instead of a new couch,
honey,
I chose to let my wife be right so that my life can be right.
Hiscock.
Because happy life means you got a happy wife, happy life, right? So I paid $2,400 and got elite level patio furniture over the weekend.
Right.
And then it promptly snowed. It quite legit, I think, snowed 3+ inches yesterday in Salt Lake City. Thanks. But instead of a new couch, I went with patio furniture. And I got this beautiful patio furniture that's super comfortable. It's, unbelievable. I got a fire pit, like amazing.
Yeah.
Don't have a comfortable couch. My couch is not long enough. I have power recliners on the end of my couch and they're short. So my calves are on the end of the recliner. It's not comfortable.
Yeah.
You know.
And it sucks.
Yeah, it does suck, but happy wife, happy life.
I just try to stand strong.
I mean, the wifey wants to be in the backyard. We're getting new patio furniture.
Right.
Now, next week, we're also completely, or I guess in a couple of weeks, rebuilding my backyard into a golf sanctuary. So there's some give and take, you know, but it is what it is. Stepanik says, I sleep in mine too, Mike Smith.
I've only ever slept in my recliner one time.
Mike Smith, I think we might be long lost besties, but you also have a chair and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
You guys usually molest each other in the chair and a half.
Molest each other.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's correct.
How do you guys watch TV together? Because I assume all
you.
you do is watch TV.
What do you? Yeah.
That's all you guys do.
Yeah. That's, what are you talking about? Yeah.
So you guys sit together in the chair and a half.
Yep. We do.
You don't sit in your recliner.
Nope.
What's on your recliner?
Usually just a bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do. Okay.
Sometimes I sit in it, but not all the time.
How many stains are on the chair and a half?
One, maybe.
You're such a hooker. You're such a hooker. Let's see. Robert Fowler. You give me a good recliner any day. When I had surgery to remove a tumor in my head, I had to sleep in a recliner for 2 months and got so used to it, I sleep in it a lot. See, like, I like sleeping in my bed. Like, the problem is I have a lower left sciatic issue. For the first 8 minutes, I'm out of bed. But my bed's comfortable for me. Now, I wake up every day like I'm a 100-year-old man with no,
Yeah.
But I was talking to my chiropractor the other week, and he's like, yeah, you can get a softer mattress. That's going to lead to hip and knee problems. You can get a more firm mattress, and you're going to see that your shoulder and your upper back are going to hurt. He's like, you need to work on hip flexibility, and you need to get adjusted regularly. He's not wrong. Oh, God. Oak State Change has given us a $5 tip. Now, I haven't seen the $5 comment yet.
Real quick. We're taking some odds here. Over under on, is the mullet mentioned? Is OSU softball potentially won the Big 12 over the weekend. So are they mentioned?
OSU softball.
Yeah. Beat Oklahoma 3 times over the weekend, I believe it was. Might have been twice. So maybe they are mentioned. Monty, I went to the softball games and their corn dogs are really good.
I don't even know how to look up Big 12 softball scores. You're an idiot. What? Like, how do you know that? Let's see. Big 12, 2024 Big 12 softball standings.
Monty?
Ooh, look at Okie State. 21-6.
Yeah.
11-1 at home, 10-5 on the road. They lost over the weekend. You're pathetic. Let's see. When did they? February 8th or see? Okay, so it'd be down here.
Yeah.
Oh, good weekend in Norman, but you lost to Oklahoma 8-2 to end the series. And now you play BYU in Oklahoma City for the 2024. You guys ready for this? Phillips 66 Big 12 softball championship quarterfinal. Okay. So we're betting that's what the comments about?
Yeah. Does he mention softball?
Oak State lost to Texas on Saturday. In what?
Yeah, in what, dude? What do you mean?
However, I did have an amazing bourbon-based barbecue wings. The food truck in left field. The food trucks in left field were great. It's just so rectal. I like down to the
dude.
Monty, I gotta tell you something.
Monty.
Look here, Monty. I was in Austin over the weekend. And it was either go to the or I just go out to left field and they got some food trucks there. Sure there were flies. I even saw some larvae, but those wings were too good, man.
And Monty, I considered the all-you-can-eat shrimp at Red Lobster, but it was a tough decision.
Too legit to quit, bitch.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad the wings were good. Aaron Wilson's happy for you as well. I was hoping someone would get that quote. What quote? I don't know what quote you mean. It's not a tumor. Okay. OG Gary, I have a zero gravity reclining couch.
Okay. Okay, dude.
The lumbar support motor on that is to die for. Love that couch. Living Spaces for the win. The couch I have now, I got at Living Spaces in Phoenix. And there's a huge Living Spaces. I didn't even notice this until we were burning 91 premium fuel in the M the other day on the freeway, and we drove by a Living Spaces. And I was like, when did Utah get a Living Spaces? I didn't even know about it. I didn't know about it. Shout out to Roche, who gifted a Monty Show membership.
Okay.
Roche, good to see you, my friend. Hope you are well. What are we doing today? Brian Shoots. Should I give my job a 2-week notice since I'm starting a new job? But they don't give us 2 weeks notice that we'll be fired, so I'm conflicted. Oh my God.
Dude, you're a savage. You're an absolute savage.
Okay, fuck you. How's that?
Well, you won't get severance if you will you get
Do you have severance?
Do they pay severance when they lay you off? That's the question. If they don't pay severance, probably not. But I'm a big believer that you never burn a bridge. You never burn a bridge. Never, ever burn a bridge. Brandon Butler seems like another manic Monday. You ain't wrong. Not softball. That was baseball. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Stepanik, did you hear Texas has a quarterback controversy because Manning played well in the spring game? Yeah, we spent like an hour.
Bro, we've been talking about that for like a year, bro.
So what do you guys advise our guy Brian Shoots? 2-week notice or not 2-week notice?
2-week notice.
You always give
all
a 2-week
day.
notice.
All day.
Always give a 2-week notice. I think you have to. OG Gary, there are 3 Living Spaces in Utah. There are.
Okay.
Really? I did not know that. I like Living Space. I think I might have a Living Spaces credit card. I could be wrong. I don't know. I could be wrong. I think I have a Living Spaces credit card. Robert Fowler says definitely give 2-week notice. OG Gary, put the notice in, Brian. If I don't know, Brian, are you in good state? Are you a valued employee?
We need more context, Brian.
Yeah. What do you do for a living? And are you a shithead? Because if you like the company and they like you, but you're just ready to move on, okay, give the 2-week notice. There's no doubt.
Pack this thing up. We're out of here.
But if you're a guy that just snaps widgets together all day and you don't have any fingernails because they're gnawed down to the bone, these things all matter. These things all matter. Brandon Butler, always 2-week notice unless your new job is demanding an earlier start. I would agree with that. If retail, then no, because Walmart don't care.
True.
there are some difficult jobs in this country. Working at Walmart's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the lack of respect that we have for service employees is, I was in a Maverick the other day, and this dude was just not being polite to the lady behind the food counter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, hey, man, she's going to make your kid that burrito, and she's probably going to put some saliva in it if you don't knock it off. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mike Smith, give her notice in the day before, but backdate it 2 weeks. Okay. Hey, here's my belated 2-week notice.
The ink isn't dry yet.
Can't do that. Looked it up. There are 2 living spaces, not 3. One in Clearfield, one in Draper.
Yeah, the one in Draper is the one we saw.
Yeah, I probably need to peruse their couch section at some point. It's not a must. Frankly, my couch does not bother me on the daily. It's my couch sucks when I want to take a nap.
Well, on the daily, you probably only sit on it, what, like 2 hours, maybe?
Max.
Like, probably less than that.
Max. My dog that's his couch.
Yeah.
You know, like, he does what he does. It is what it is, right? All right, don't forget Prize Picks, the official daily fantasy partner of the Monty Show. One over the weekend. Well, Donovan Mitchell sucks. Not on Prize Picks, he doesn't. Not on, and I was looking at it. I almost took the gambler.
The gambler.
I almost took the gambler because he was 1.5 home runs. Almost took the gambler. Didn't take the gambler. Probably should have. NBA tonight is where I would be at on Prize Picks, prizepicks.com. Use the promo code Monty to get 100% deposit matching. There's a couple I really like. Jalen Brunson, 48 flat. Points, rebounds, and assists, more or less. That one's going to be close. The one that I think is the most difficult call, what do you expect out of Denver in game 2? Because Ant is at 39.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
Right.
That's a tough one. Now, he's done that 4 out of the last 5, but you can't tell me that you really believe that Denver is not going to come out with a different game plan against that cat?
Has to.
Come on, man. Come on, man. I have to believe they do. I have to believe they do. And I think the other one that you got to look at for points and rebounds that I think is it probably determines win or loss for the Knickerbockers is OG Anunoby, your mom.
Oh.
23 points and rebounds, more or less. And
probably more.
The issue is 2 out of his last 3 he's hit it, and he pushed on the 3rd one. He's played really well He played really well the back half of the Philly series.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you go more on him. And then, of course, we have to do a 3-point made. And I think the only one, and I don't want to say it out loud, Dante DiVincenzo is on a demon at 3.5. So can Dante DiVincenzo make 4 3-pointers against Indiana tonight? You're choosing between him and Rick Brunson's kid, Jalen, who's also at 4.
I'm taking Jalen for the 48 points, rebounds, and assists.
Well, and then you complain about losing on Prize Picks.
Hey, you know.
Yeah, who are you, Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah.
You never win anything.
Yeah.
See what
he did there.
See what he did there.
Yeah.
I'm going Anthony Edwards more than 39.5 points, rebounds, and assists. OG more than 23 points and rebounds. And then I'm going to go Rick Brunson's kid to hit 4 3-pointers. We're going to do that on a flex play. We're going to do it on $25. $25 to win $100. That's my motherfucking prize.
I got
picks.
Rick Brunson's kid.
Rick Brunson's
more
kid.
than 48 points, rebounds, and assists.
Rick.
Andrew Nemhard, more than 12.5 points, which he's done 4 out of his last 5 games.
Okay.
For Indy.
You know.
And Anthony Edwards, more than 28.5 points tonight.
I like that, actually. I think you're a good
Demon on Nemhard, and it is $20 flex play to win $70.
Now, we have PGA coming up this weekend. Golf, especially the bigger tournaments. Golf is fantastic. Did anybody see Ben Coles over the weekend? Ben Coles, who, and I have not confirmed this, so admittedly I'm guessing, and I could be wrong. But I think from the second shot on the 18th tee, I do think his asshole was tighter than a jar of spaghetti sauce. Because my guy went to the 18th with 1 stroke lead over Taylor Pendrith, the Canadian. He hits his driver into a bunker complex, but it stays on grass. He did a Monty.
Hey, Monty.
And he shanked a 52-degree wedge, and it went like 5 feet.
You got to get stroked.
That's fine because he chipped onto the green. He needs like a 5-footer. 5-foot putt to send it to a playoff. Fuck no, he didn't make that putt.
Oh, dear. Oh, my.
He missed that putt, and the world felt bad for him. And it cost him $710,000.
You know,
and an exemption on the PGA Tour. A 5-footer cost him $710,000 and a 2-year exemption on the PGA Tour. Ben, maybe you ought to find another line of work. Now, having said that, the mother will do him $1,035,000
but
for choking.
yeah, it's not even the money, right?
Oh.
Like, I mean, that's still a ton of money.
It's
you
the
just
money
lost, but
you'll never make.
yeah,
now.
without the exemption, dude, you got to still try to qualify your way in, and you still got to work hard and like do these things. Whereas, like, and this is what people don't understand about golf. Like, people always hate on like Justin Thomas or Jordan Spieth. Dude, these guys are gonna play the rest of their life on the tour, and whether they play crappy or really good, like their crappy is top 30 typically. So
My crappy, the front 9 at River Oaks on Saturday.
Because it's garbage.
Complete disaster. It's fine. Don't forget Wells Fargo Championship at Quail Hollow this coming weekend. Awesome on Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com. Make sure you use the promo code Monty to get 100% deposit matching at PrizePicks.com. Brian shoots. I do armed security.
Armed security.
I'm cool, but my account manager is a complete asshole. Tired of being forced to stay to work 16-hour shifts 5 days a week?
What the fuck are you, Ranger Rick?
Tell me that you're hourly. Are you getting overtime on that? Oh, God, this is a tough one.
What are the perks of the new gig?
Yeah, we got to now.
Just
see, Brian, let's go.
Gig.
We need you to put out here.
Yeah, dude. We need the details.
We need more.
We need context.
We need more. Boyd Lake, 2-week notice is standard, even if the company sucks. People left totaling the workload usually don't. Boyd also says one more 2-week notice tip. Tell the new employer to wait until you give your notice to fix your start date. Sometimes companies waive the notice to boot employees. Well, that could be. Could absolutely be. Bobby Fowler, if your salary, Brian, quits, screw the 2 weeks. If you're forced overtime on salary, that to me is a problem.
Yeah.
That to me is a problem. That's very interesting. That is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Boyd is exactly right, James says. Put in 2-week notice so that you have more time to go to the concession stand at your favorite college baseball stadium. That's what I'm saying. Lee Jensen, hello. Good to see you. All right, let's get some college football death knell in here for a minute. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of talking about it. I love that we just did an hour of NBA. But I'm tired of talking about this. I've tried and I've wanted and I have tried to want and I'm out of want to now. Because the Super League argument, I was talking to a guy over the weekend and we laugh because me and this dude talk about this stuff all the time. It's frankly we're friends, but this is all we talk about. We don't talk about our wives. We don't talk about our children because one of our kids are doing shit with their lives.
Yeah,
so
we don't talk about our crappy couches where those kids were made.
We don't talk about that.
Big deal.
But we were talking about this and bro said to me, like, I'm over this story. Can we just announce the Super League? And I was like, exactly right. Because I think anymore, can we just get to a place now where we understand the Super League is inevitable? Can we just come to a place where we recognize that every single day that there is a new report, that the Super League is inevitable? Can we now recognize that, pick your story, like this update on the ACC lawsuit, that a court in South Carolina has ordered the ACC to turn over the ESPN contract and Discovery to Clemson. And people are like, oh, God, ESPN's doomed. No, they're not. Sure, turn over the contract. Clemson's already seen it. And if Clemson's too lazy to go to the ACC headquarters, they don't deserve to win the case. Clemson's already seen it. Clemson wants to use this as leverage. Okay, great. What happens if the ACC melts down? We're going to a Super League. Because do you think Florida State's leaving the ACC this year? Do you think Clemson's leaving the ACC this year? They're not. There's not a chance that happens. It would be, I mean, I have to think you're 2% that could happen this coming season. It's almost slim and none, right? We're talking about 25, 26. That's the year that we are talking about. That in my mind, and you can talk about what Brett Yormark said last week about how we need to go through this next year and see how the 12-team playoff works. And then we can talk about a Super League, because that's where this is going. And I think at some point, and we're going to get into these lawsuits and, the reporting about how much each school is going to be on the hook for in the Power Four. We're going to talk about all that here in just a minute. But are we at a point, Jake, where we can agree finally? I think the Super League's inevitable.
I would agree. I do think it's inevitable, and I think it's inevitable because that's the type of situation that's needed to allow the money from private firms and private companies to get involved at a much higher level. I think we're well past, just like kind of beating around the bush with sponsorship and like how sponsorship money flows to the sport. How kids are benefiting, how the schools are benefiting, how the old white hairs are still benefiting. Like, we just need to accept the fact that the sport is going to go towards a pro model. And, you look at the reporters who cover this stuff regularly. You have like Ross Dellinger over the weekend put out an article where he talked about a situation he saw where Dave Aranda is in Gainey Ranch, Scottsdale, Arizona, at Big 12 meetings. And, there was a moment where he told the press that he was excited because he was going to meet with the front office of the Cardinals and see how, you do things at the professional level, because they're trying to learn how to handle money better and how they could work with their current athletes at the collegiate level to move money around to benefit them. The scouting, if you will, like the learning and development process for the brass at these universities is already happening. They're already preparing for the Super League to come to fruition. They're not stupid. They get it. So yeah, I would say it is inevitable. And the only question is going to be, how long does it take to get it done? And I would think it's probably a 3 to 5 year proposition. I mean, you still have to do the 12-team playoff. You still then probably have to expand it once.
Right.
And then at that point, you're probably in a better position to totally trash that model and go to the Super League. So you're talking about a couple of years here at least, but the idea that this is now graduating towards, hey, head coaches and folks are now starting to learn how to do these things, and they're trying to bring those skills into their skill set, tells you everything you need to know. They're preparing for it.
I think it's inevitable. And I know that everybody and their brother has pronounced the Super League dead, and I'm fine to be the only one saying it's not dead. It's not nearly dead. In fact, I think it is alive and well, and I think they are trying to figure out how to model it. And we've talked about this forever and ever. These NIL lawsuits, you put that on top of the ACC situation, you put this on top of the financial hardship that some of the biggest programs in this country are forcing upon the bottom half of the P5s, and now it's the P4s. But you look at the inability now for the G5 schools to compete at the upper levels of college football. They have no chance, because when we get into, hey, we're talking about a situation where power conferences are going to have to pay $300 million each in a settlement. You're talking about not just that settlement, and people are like, oh, Monty, and that's a drop in the urine pail. That might be true, but then go ahead and expand your roster significantly, so you have to provide more scholarships, so you have to provide more revenue sharing, so you're paying out in student wellness and well-being alone will break a lot of G5 universities who will not be able to compete.
Yeah.
And I think you are looking at the game shrinking. Now, is the money going to grow? Yeah, because I think the people with access to the biggest pots of cash in this game is shrinking.
Yeah.
That's what this is. And we could sit here and I could tell you is the day is long. The Big Ten and the SEC cannot go out on their own. And people continue to believe that that's a possibility. It's not. I can tell you point blank, if you do not have the 50 to 75 biggest universities financially capable of competing at the highest levels in college football, you don't have college football.
Yeah, totally agree.
You need to figure it out.
Well, and I think that's the other reason the Super League happens is because you need a bit of a delineation here from a revenue standpoint and a money structure standpoint between the Power 4 and the G5. And I think that the G5, and we've said it on the show a million times, and we're going to keep saying it, the G5 need their own playoff model. They need their own system so that at their level, and again, it's not saying that they're lesser or they're like terrible. That's not what anyone's saying. But the reality is that they're operating at a lower revenue stream level than the Power 4. And I literally don't think it's fair to compare them or ask them to compete. I mean, it would literally be like asking, a college university to compete with the Dallas Cowboys money wise. Like, it's not, you would never do that because it's a totally different structure and a way of doing business. So the question of if the Super League is inevitable, I think my opinion is we're past that. It is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's more conversation of, hey, how is it going to happen now? Like, just how much structure can we put into the sport to sort of pave the way?
And I also think that when you're looking at all of this equation, one of the things you have to ask yourself is, how does the world of college football stop these lawsuits from being filed? Because I think one of the delays in settling this NIL antitrust lawsuit is that there's no protection for the NCAA. You're going to settle this lawsuit for billions of dollars, and what's to stop the next incarnation of lawsuits? There's no protection.
Yeah.
So until, and I don't know, I think Stuart Mandel at The Athletic wrote about the need for there to be legislation or some way that lawmakers protect the NCAA. I don't know how you do that. If that is Congress, if that is, I don't know. But what stops all of these lawsuits? Because you notice one gets filed, another gets filed, another gets filed. Like,
yeah,
where does the rock stop rolling down the hill?
Well, I don't think
in these lawsuits,
dude. I don't think it does, because every lawsuit that gets filed sets a new precedent. So we're not in a place where we've ever seen a lot of this before, which is why you're getting so many of the lawsuits, because there's opportunity to, and I'm not saying this, but there's opportunity to make a lot of money through these lawsuits if you're in a certain type of position. So yeah, it probably is legislation, but I hate that for the sport. I hate when, white collar congressional folks get involved with college athletics, because it never ends well, really, for anybody. And that's why I say, like the NCAA is going to have to pay back their fair share. Then the schools, because again, this article that Ross did, he made it very clear that yes, the NCAA and schools are intertwined. We've said that for ages, right? That's a fact, not an opinion. But Ross was very clear to point out that in the paperwork, it clearly says that the NCAA as a body is going to have its own responsibility for paying the fine versus what the schools have to pay. And so I think we start getting into these really muddy waters of like, hey, who's paying for what? And like, who's going to be hurt the most? And how does this school handle that? Like, it just gets very complicated, to which I say, yeah, this is probably a situation where legislation needs to be written to control the damage.
Yeah, because it's no different than, an LLC, or you have this body, the NCAA, but who's funding that and who makes it up?
Mm-hmm.
The member institutions, who you would think would have a level of protection from that. Only they don't, because at the end of the day, This is a cash call for investors. That's what that's what this amounts to.
Yeah.
Because you've had so much repression or oppression, if you will, of student athletes for decades and decades and decades. And I think this was the inevitable outcome, which is why I think you also see that they don't want these kids to be employees. They need to be 1099, as we've told you from the beginning.
Yes.
It's never made sense to make student athletes employees. That's never made sense. I think if you are one of these Power 4 institutions, you need the help at the legislative level.
Facts.
That's the only way that you can, as one, come together as one.
Yes.
Individuals coming together as one. You need the antitrust. You need that legislative protection.
Mm-hmm.
If not, the lawsuits are endless.
And frankly, after you get through all the lawsuits, you need the private money, which is, again, why the Super League's going to happen.
And I think it's inevitable. And I look at the outcome of all this stuff. I think, and it's sad because I love college football. I think you guys know that. I'm a passionate believer in it. I love watching it. There is nothing like Saturday afternoons in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing like, for me, Notre Dame and USC, Bama, Georgia, like the biggest games.
There's nothing like it, dude.
There's nothing like it. And I know that Oak State and Mullet Man hate the rivalry games in college football, and they want nothing to do with good games and rivalries. But I love big rivalries. I am anti-Mike Gundy because I actually like important games.
I'm a man.
Anyway, my point is I love big-time college football.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate that that's dead now. As we know it, the days of, penalty flags against Rocket Ishmael kick returns are over. Marcus Allen, it's over. The great history and tradition of college football is over.
The Iron Bowl.
It's done.
Comeback.
It's over. You're never going to see college football the way that we've all come to love it.
The Tim Tebow run. Yeah.
The Statue of Liberty from Boise State, that's never going
Mhm.
to happen again. It's not possible. And I think that's really sad. I think we have 2 years of some level of, I don't know, an exit tour or a death tour for college football. Because I think these next 2 years with the expanded playoff, and I think this is the end. This is the end, man.
Yeah.
And college football is going to be completely different. And again, I will just go back and say, I'm a believer that we're going to have the college football championship on Saturday and the Super Bowl on Sunday.
And I think it's brilliant. And I think that the sport and the audience deserves that. I really do believe that. But I just think the waters are not going to calm until the lawsuits are done, legislation gets written, and then a formal structure is announced of like, hey, here's what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have these revenue sharing caps, and they're going to lie to us and tell us that that'll level the playing field. It's no different than a salary cap in the NBA, Monty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. We will. The gap between the P4 and the G5 is not what you should be paying attention to. It's the gap between the P4 and then the real power players in college football.
Yeah.
The top of the table and the bottom of the table the gap will be seismic. It will be a fissure that we have never seen. It will be a canyon. It will be massive. It will be.
Yeah.
I maintain now, if it's, how many teams do you think truly every year, and not in an expanded playoff, for the last 100 years, how many teams do you think truly had an opportunity every year?
Like 5, maybe.
Maybe. Okay, now we've got a 12-team playoff. Anything can happen. Great, double it. 10 teams in the entire country.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's 10 teams. I still think it's 5 or 7 teams.
Yeah.
Congratulations if you're Florida State last year and you got in and you ran into Texas.
Georgia.
You ran into Alabama. You ran into Michigan last year. You weren't no 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. None of those teams were beating that incarnation of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
None of them were beating Texas. Not one. Not a single one of those teams. So congratulations. We continue to be buyers, right? Because every transaction, there's a buyer and a seller. We continue to be the buyers of the bullshit that, everybody's got an equal chance now, Monty. No, they don't. There's 5 to 7 teams every year.
Yeah.
And I don't know that ever changes. And this, we're going to have salary caps and everything is going to be equal. Alabama and North Texas Poughkeepsie State Vacuum Repair coach Connor Stallions will have as equal opportunity as anybody.
Yeah, I know what time it is.
You listen here, Monty. We're not worried about chicken sandwiches off of the training table anymore. We're big time college football where everybody has a chance. Expansion.
What's up, big bro?
Expansion. All that means is instead of the big boys putting 1 knuckle in, we're going 2 knuckles deep, boy. That's it. Hook 'em horns has a completely new meaning.
Damn.
Right? Like I'm telling you, it is just it's more of a power grab. It's why Greg Sankey should be the commissioner of college football. Like it or not.
The commissioner of college football.
You need one.
Holy crap.
You need one.
Yeah.
Do you not understand? And I know, again, all of the, the Pac-12's getting $600 million. All those fucking assholes, they're like, we're never separating college football and basketball. That'd be bad for our little nobody listens to it podcast.
On the CW.
Well, that's all well and good. But if you haven't figured it out yet, football and basketball, like Moses can't part that Red Sea, dude. Like they're going to be different. You're going to have a commissioner of college football.
You think then that means we get a commissioner of basketball?
I believe it does.
Yeah.
How would you not?
Yeah.
Basketball, and this is for all the jerk offs that are like, well, Monty, track and field and the stick and ball sports, you can kiss their asses goodbye. Okay, how exactly? Go ahead and let me know. I know I'm just little old Monty over here. I don't know anything about nothing.
Right.
Just let me know how that's going to happen. We're just going to not have TV contracts for the College World Series anymore. We're not going to.
The only question is
stop.
Again, and this is the structure question I keep bringing up. So, okay, let's say a Super League happens in football. Let's say they expand the tournament to, I don't know, 80 teams, let's say, or whatever the number would be. Okay, cool. We've expanded everything. All right, great. More money. Everything's happy. Everyone's good. Okay, how does that work then for the rest of the sports? Do the rest of the sports stay, like when you look at grant of rights models, do the rest of the sports at universities stay under a grant of rights model, where the conferences operate differently in those sports? Or do you kind of fold that in under a newer model? Because again, the grant of rights situation is why we're here in the first place, right? Grant of rights agreements is why the sport is where it is right now. And so when you look at stick and ball sports and all the sports that are still going to continue to be played, is it better to keep all those the same, operate them the same way you have for 100 years, and now the only difference is going to be that you're going to make a lot more money through the Super League and through the tournament and all that? I mean, is that what we're looking at? That's what I think is really interesting, because I'm telling you, those sports are going to stay for a long time. They're not going anywhere. It's just a matter of how you're going to pay for them.
And I think you're going to see that it's the Phillips 66 Big 12 softball tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're just going to give that money back to Phillips 66 and say, go on, boy, you keep it. Here's your money back. Go clean more coal, boy.
Like, I don't think people understand,
they're going to make money on those sports.
Like, if you live on the West Coast or the East Coast, you don't understand or appreciate how much things like softball or baseball or these other sports matter, soccer, to the people in those communities. Like, people show up to those games, man. Like, it's a big deal.
It is. And I think when you look at the reality is we are going to have a Super League, and then we are going to have a not Super League. And I think you're going to have the G5 have their own championship, and everybody gets all bonered over, wow, relegation and promotion, Monty. I don't know if relegation and promotion happens. I think it's feasible and people have proposed it, but how do you actually implement that? Like I look at the universities look at how much money we've seen Oregon State investing in Beaver Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it, or Research Stadium, excuse me. Look at Boise State, perfect example. Do you know how much money they are putting into their infrastructure right now?
Yeah.
A ton into their facilities. And you look at the stadium upgrades. You look at, like, why do you think we stopped expanding stadiums? Because everybody was like, oh, Monty, you got to get to 100,000. Right here in the great state of Utah, where we're supposedly, this massive NHL hotbed.
Oh, dude, bro. Quick sidebar. Dude, the list came out in a public information request about what Ryan Smith is asking for with stadiums and public funds and all that. Dude, gnar, bro. Absolutely gnar. So you talk about 100,000 seat stadiums, we don't need that anymore.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Look at the University of Utah. Oh, Monty, we got to get to 100,000. Ute fans everywhere, bitch. Here's a question I have for you. Do you want your 60,000 seat stadium to be sold out, or do you want the upper corners of your 100,000 seat stadium to be empty? And again, I tell you all the time, I think the University of Utah is one of the finest business and decision-making universities in all of major college athletics.
Yeah.
They said, we want our demand to be up here and our supply to be down here.
Yep. Got to keep it in proportion.
Sell it out. BYU. Oh, man, the church, Monty. We got all the Mormons everywhere. Well, then how come you don't have a 100,000 seat stadium? Because it's not practical.
It's not practical, and they have so much supply to the point where they're piping people on season tickets.
I'm telling you, the economic model works. But if you're Boise State, you're never going to be able to compete in a Super League because you don't want to provide 100 scholarships. Because the reality is, and we talked about this the other day, for every scholarship you allocate to an athlete, that's one that somebody's not paying for.
Yeah.
So if you're putting up 80, 90, 100 scholarships, can Boise State, can Fresno State, can Tarleton State, can they afford that? And then you realize that you got to invest significant. You're investing per student tens of thousands of dollars a year just in wellness. And that's not nutrition. That's not support staff. That's mental well-being, academic well-being, making sure that they are fit mentally. That's tens of thousands of dollars in infrastructure, from humanity, curriculum, office space. And then on top of that, now we're talking about equipment, which is not for, there's this big, I had an argument with a guy on Instagram the other day. Well, Monty, they get all those helmets from Rodell for free. No, they don't.
No, they have to pay for that.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
No, they do not.
You think Rodell is doing things for free?
Do you think they're like, we were literally arguing with this cat, Rick, about, hey man, they get their shoulder pads for free. They don't.
Yeah. Do you think that, well, it's what Retzloff said. Like, do you guys remember what Retzloff said about the helmet thing at BYU? He said, yeah, we have some of the best helmets I've ever had in college football because BYU pays for really nice helmets that now, and obviously this is sport-wide, have in-helmet communication, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like everyone always says, oh, well, the Oregon uniforms suck and they look ugly and they're terrible. Who would ever want to wear those? Yeah, but they're really nice and they have the best of the best, everything, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, like equipment does matter, but you have to pay for that stuff, dude. It's not, there are no handouts. Nobody's doing things for free. Do you get a bulk buyer discount? Sure. Probably. Yeah, probably you do. Where if it's $50 for, a consumer to buy shoulder pads or whatever the number is. Yeah, it's probably 40 or 30 if you're buying it in the hundreds.
You're getting a nice number on it.
Yeah.
But it's not free.
Yeah.
Jock straps aren't free.
Yeah.
I mean, you
think the Gatorade cooler is free, bro?
I wish people understood the money it costs to run just in insurance. Do you know the insurance money that it costs for football? Like, the infrastructure is incredibly expensive. And I wish that, yeah. Let's see. Let's get to the comment section. Caps Lock Friday, Coog. By the way, are you guys excited that the great radio wizard in the Northwest is reporting that the CW has a deal for Oregon State and Washington State? I think it's a really smart play by Oregon State and Washington State because you don't need national coverage. You need regional coverage. The CW offers you that.
Well, and I think inside of that, it was also reported that Fox is picking up the bigger games like the bigger national branded games. So, you're going to get 3 of those too. So, I think it's a good deal.
The Garden Variety home game is going to be on the CW, though.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I agree. It's smart. You needed to do it. So I'm not criticizing the move, but when you think about the CW, I never watched the CW. I don't watch Live. I don't watch the CW.
No.
I watched the CW a ton as a kid because the Cubs were on the CW. But I don't really watch the CW. So
the Cubs were on WGN, which was a CW affiliate.
Yeah.
Just, I think it's interesting. Jacob D. What, with college football changing, will Boise State be left out of major college football or will they make the Super League? I think
they're a very fringe team, bro.
It's going to be a lot of money because you're also, what goes into the Super League is you have to have the liquidity to support, and I don't know what the scholarship number will be.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have the liquidity to support the scholarship, all of the infrastructure, expanded athletic programs.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you're going to have to share your revenue. On top of that, you're going to have a really beefy NIL infrastructure plus NIL dollars. It's a massive undertaking. And I think if you're Boise State, you've always been on that line. And I think you're going to wind up you're going to wind up in the G5. And I think if you are Boise State, that's probably where you belong. Because I think it's very difficult to make a jump to a higher level. And everybody loves the relegation and promotion. Okay, well, what does that actually look like for the team that gets promoted? How many teams that are promoted in English Premier League actually thrive and do well? Or do they wind up down on that lower tier where they're not making money because they're not getting into the Europa Leagues, they're not getting into the...
Because they, lose all the time at the highest level.
The real money in promotion is when you win at the next level. You have to win at the next level, right? How many Wrexhams are there? Not a lot.
By the way, when you get to the next level in pro sports, like in the European soccer stuff, you got to pay for nicer hotels. There are requirements. Like you got to travel nicer. You got to do things. So there's more cost.
It's always more expensive to make more money.
Yeah.
You got to spend money to make money. Caps Lock Friday, Coog. Washington State to the super tier, sources told me. Okay. Tell your sources we said hello. You know what I'm saying? Water sports, I don't know. What happens behind closed doors.
Yeah, soaking's not a sport, dude. Come
on. Mike Smith, settle down with the relegated boner talk, Monty.
Stay hard.
Get your throb on, bro. Mike also says university's starting to put more luxury seating areas in order to make extra bank. It's no longer like if you look at the renovations, there's a lot of stadiums now that are renovating the visitors side. Where it used to be, hey, well, the visitors side, why don't you guys go over there and sit on them splintered wood? Not anymore. Because now visitors tickets are worth money.
Yeah.
And now luxury seating and it's worth money. I agree with you 100%. Stepanik. It will be like basketball. You have the NCAA national championship and the NIT championship in basketball. That's what football will be soon. We'll see. We shall see. We shall see. Jacob says, so no Boise to the Super League. Probably not.
No, I don't think so, dude.
Elaine Tran says, Jacob, sorry, bro. But you're a Baylor fan. Dude. Dave Aranda's still your head coach.
Maybe he should grow his hair out. What do you think?
Anyway, Mike Smith. Yes, they hate Las Vegas college. Yes, they hate Las Vegas college football. Okay. I don't know what that means. Roche, I don't like the bench seating at BYU. I prefer Ute Stadium all day. Plus, you ride the tracks right to Ute Stadium, not to say BYU Stadium isn't good. I mean, Rice Eccles is probably, I don't know, among the top 5 most underrated home field advantages in all of football, NFL, or college.
Yeah.
But Lavelle Edwards Stadium's not exactly easy either. There's a lot more walking at BYU. You have to do parking is okay. But you got to understand also at Utah, it's an elite tailgate setup.
Yeah.
They don't really tailgate at BYU, or they don't want you to,
But at least there they have parking lots, unlike some other organizations we've talked about on the show.
Yeah. Phil Venzer, at one point in time, Utah was a G5 school, but their ascension is no longer available. So you were a Mountain West school that went to the Pac-12. And then the Pac-12 melted down, so you went to the Big 12. So how does that ascension work today? How does that happen? If you're, pick your school. If you are, I don't even know who, San Diego State. If you're San Diego State, now we all know you believe you deserve a pro rata.
Right.
But you're not good in football, and you haven't been.
Even with your stadium.
You're now a basketball school. How do you translate the San Diego State football product into a P5 so you can compete with Georgia, Ohio State? How do you do that?
I don't know.
You don't, because you can't. You like there's no way to go from the Mountain West to the Big 12. That's not happening. How is that going to happen? I think there's no more I don't believe there's going to be more expansion.
No, we're consolidating for sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Some players buy their own helmets because they're so big. And I think that most players, especially quarterbacks, are very partial to their helmets. And nowadays with the hats you can wear and need to be on TV somewhere. Well, I don't think the CW is a bad deal. I truly do not think the CW is a bad deal. I don't. Andy Blackwell, hello. Good to see you, my friend. Appreciate you being here. Elaine Tran says, love Lavelle Edwards. It's a really good football venue. And at the golden hour, when you've got the mountains in the background and it's 35 degrees out, and that's a great home field advantage. Great home field advantage. Brandon Butler, teams better win now or the relegation will happen before any Super League is created. I think, as I always say on the show, winning on the field matters. It's why Stanford is not, winning on the field. Steve Stepanek, the only team that was successful is the University of Central Florida. Well, what about, Central Florida is interesting. I'm really still surprised. Well, South Florida doesn't have a stadium on campus, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Elaine Tran, I root for Houston and Baylor. Okay.
How? That's like saying you're a Cubs and a Sox fan. How does that work? How do you do that?
Did you guys see the old Kaminsky Park in Chicago?
Chicago.
So U.S. Cellular crap hole. Comiskey Park, now guaranteed lower rate attendance field. They're so bad at Kaminsky Park that nobody goes. They had 31 fans at their game the other day.
Literally, there's a video going around Twitter,
and I am here for it.
Yeah,
I'm here for it. We sail gate around here. UW fan Jim says, "Okay, listen, that's great. That's great." That's really good. Mike Smith, it's almost post Monty Show nap time. Could be. Shooter, Texas. More expansion, no chance. If anything, we're about to enter a time of contraction. Well, I think that's what we've been saying. I don't think,
Yeah.
We'll see. Delaric, will the fall of the ACC trigger the Super League? It will be a reason. It will not be the reason.
Yeah. It'll help the case.
Colleges need to make more money on football. That's why this is going to happen. It's plain and simple. Matt Ritson, look, college basketball team hosting regional more SEC and ACC, 1 or 2 West Coast. Could be. There's been a lot of thought about that. And when you expand the tournament, I think that happens. I do believe that happens. Because, again, I know, just little old fat ass over here been telling you, they're going to expand the NCAA tournament. Doesn't matter if you want them to or not. It's going to happen because they're going to make more money on it.
Yeah.
They're going to make more money on it. Aaron Wilson gifted a Monty Show membership.
Let's go, Aaron.
All right. Can we talk about Mexico? Or do we talk about the Tom Brady roast first? Why do these guys do roasts? I don't understand this. Tom Brady got roasted. Comedy roast. They have comedians that make jokes about Giselle banging jiu-jitsu instructors. And it was on Netflix Live last night, so we can't play any of it for you. But if you're on Twitter or Insta Snapface, go find it. It's not hard to find. Why would Tom Brady agree to be roasted? Does anybody understand it? I do not.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of is, it's a business opportunity. All the people you would meet, all the conversations you'd be able to have. And obviously it's a really, funny thing. I mean, there were some great jokes told there, some cringe moments, but I think that, why would you agree to be roasted? Because you're Tom Brady and he can, and he's an iconic name. And I feel like the concept of the roast, kind of died off a little bit. Like, I haven't really seen a great roast in some time. And really since I feel like we haven't had a good one since Comedy Network was kind of in its prime, and people were doing it like regularly. So yeah, I mean, why does he agree to get roasted? Because he wants to be in the news, probably wants to be in the cycle for whatever reason.
So let me get this right. You allowed people to make jokes about your wife banging her jiu-jitsu instructor, but rub and tug Bobby Kraft jokes were off limits. Because there was an awkward moment. I don't think it was Will Smith slapping "get my wife's name out your mouth" thing. But Tommy got upset when one of the nastiest comedians in the business, Jeffrey Ross, made a rub and tub joke about Bob Kraft. What did you think they were going to do? Yeah. Now, the story goes that Tom said everything's on the table except Bob Kraft rub and tub jokes. So did you think that was going to be enough for them not to do that? Apparently it was not.
Yeah, I thought it was. It's out of turn if you're the one being roasted to go up there and be like, hey, we can't do that. But Bob Kraft was the only one not there. Everybody else was there. Bill was there, Gronk.
I thought Belichick roasting Tom was funny.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the dynamic of Belichick, Gronk, and Edelman roasting, roasting Tom, and then Tom doing his, it was fine. The roast itself was fine. The issue was that, the Bob Kraft thing, which I guess, as you said, was off limits pre-show. They still did it, and I think that. People were like, oh, well, Tom essentially admitted to Deflategate and, all this. It's like, okay. I thought the Aaron Hernandez joke was that was pushing it a little bit. I'm not sure that I would have touched that topic, but
I don't know why we needed it.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just not fun Monty anymore.
Yeah. I'm getting off my lawn, Monty.
I laughed at it. I thought it was funny. I would never agree to do it if I were Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people making jokes about my wife banging her karate instructor. I don't want jokes. I just don't need jokes, dude. Because they're always going to go right to the sore spot. They're always going to pick the scabs.
Yeah.
Which they should. I don't need that. I don't understand it. And maybe I'm a stick in the mud. Would you ever, if you're Tom Brady, would you ever agree to do it?
Depends on how much money I'd make on it too, which I think, is another piece of the conversation we'll probably never know. Because as you pointed out, it was Netflix Live. So you can't tell me Tom Brady and those folks aren't making some money on that. Yeah. Not that Tom's hurting for money, but
no.
I tend to agree. He didn't do it for no reason. Let's put it that way. You don't agree to a roast where your wife is in your divorce and all that personal stuff is going to get picked on. You don't agree to be roasted like that and embarrassed in that way unless there's a play. And so to that end, I say it's either people or money. That's the saying. It's people or money.
Yeah. And one other thing real quick. No, JJ Watt, nobody wants you to come back. Did you guys see the story about JJ Watt? JJ Watt says if the Texans called him and were like, "Hey, bro, we need an offensive tackle. How you've been lifting at all?" He'd be like, "Yeah, I'd come back." No. You're one of the greatest defensive ends of all time. We don't want you to come back.
Yeah.
Just live your life. These guys always keeping one foot in the door. If JJ Watt comes back, I think it damages him. You're a multi gazillionaire. Stay on top, dude.
Yeah.
Is there anyone who wants to see JJ Watt come back?
Besides JJ Watt? No, I don't think there is. I think
I
that
do
he had
not
a great
want him to come
career.
back.
I think, elbow brace JJ Watt was a pretty dominant figure for a while. And I think if you're JJ Watt, you're probably looking at Aaron Donald's career and you're like, damn, dude, like I was the best, pretty much one of the best defensive players in league history until Aaron Donald rolled up and everybody forgot who I was because Aaron Donald was probably
the better
twice as
99,
effective, like
the better 99.
Like the better 99, exactly. So I get it, but I also agree. These guys, it's like the Tom Brady stuff. The Tom Brady rumor that came out last week that he'd be open to a conversation.
No, you shouldn't be open to a conversation.
Yeah.
All right, Giggity. That Tom Brady roast was brutal. Parts of it were. Mike Smith, I gotta watch that in your recliner. Forgot that, and Cat Williams was on. Truth. Mike also says it is just for fun, not meant to be taken personal, dude.
But Mike, you got to understand. I agree with you. I agree with you. It's not a personal attack. You're doing a roast. There's a clear purpose.
They're doing their jobs.
Right. They're doing their jobs, right? It's not like they just came out of the blue and did this. You set it up. It's a made for TV event. Like, okay, cool. But when someone's making a joke about your wife cheating on you, it's hard not to take that personal, bro.
Maybe leave the word hard out of there. Let's see. Phil Benzer, WrestleMania 2025 in Vegas, baby.
Okay. Can I just ask, where does that even, how does that fit into this conversation?
And his name is John Cena.
Well, wrestling's real. Wrestling's okay.
Better send those refunds.
Giggity, the Aaron Hernandez jokes were crazy,
dude.
Too.
That's what I'm saying. That was pushing it a little bit, I feel like.
Brandon Butler, because Tom doesn't want to get sued by Bob, plain and simple. Yeah, I hope that's true. Oof. Aaron Wilson, it's not the comedian's fault for making jokes. No, it's not. You're exactly right. Andy Blackwell, I'm not a fan of roasting legends of our games. It's degrading. I think there's a fine line there.
Yes.
I think I don't want people making, if my wife had cheated on me with a karate instructor, I don't want people making jokes about it.
And I think what's interesting is the culture too, with, because again, remember, those people that are at those events, it's incestuous. They all run in the same circles, man.
Well, tell your wife not to bang the karate instructor. You ain't wrong, allegedly. Loner phone. Yeah, we'll move on. I don't like the roasting thing. It's fun at times. It's not fun at other times. Caps lock. I will never understand roasts. They are more cringe than funny. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Tom should have shown up with every Super Bowl ring on his hands as the ultimate flex.
Agreed.
Oof. Mike Smith. I like the roasts. I like the old classic ones with Don Rickles and yes, Don Rickles may be the best roaster of all time. Foster Brooks. Okay. Do you know who Foster Brooks? You don't know. Tom shouldn't have agreed the comedians were in the right to make cutting jokes. They were. Absolutely, they were. Speaking of cutting, why do people go to Mexico? Can we talk about this, please? Now, listen, I know people are travel fanatics, and I understand that there's big wave surfing and lots of margaritas, and I get it. And I know that people like to go to Ensenada and Cancun and Puerto Vallarta. Like, totally get it. What's the worst that could happen? Well, let's say that you and two of your Australian friends go to Ensenada to go surfing. Sounds fun. You're out surfing. You come back and somebody's trying to steal your pickup truck. So you try to stop them. Then they put a bullet in your head and throw you to the bottom of a well where you'll never be found again. That's a true story. 2 Australian boys, men, and their American friend murdered in Mexico. Thrown into the bottom of a well where they were discovered. It's wild to me. Yet we have tourists that just disappear and they're never seen again.
Mm-hmm.
We have tourists that die of poisoning in hotel rooms. If you're a white guy in Mexico, you're a target.
Yeah.
And I've never understood, why are you going to Mexico? You know your ass is going to wind up in a burlap sack.
Yep.
You know that.
Yep.
Yet people, it's what I say right now about Jamaica. If you are going to Jamaica, you are asking to be robbed as a tourist.
Yeah.
And yet still, people be like, oh, Monty, we could do Mexican mango margaritas, bro. Let me know how that goes for you. Oh, the carne asada, though. I can get carne asada at Beto's, right in good old West Jordan, Utah. And my head won't wind up in a burlap sack while I'm doing it. Right? I'm not going.
Yeah, dude.
It's like these people are like, oh, well, he just drifted over the North Korean line. You don't accidentally drift over the North Korean line.
Yeah, dude. You don't. Yeah.
You know, he went to Russia and nobody ever saw him again. Are you sure that could happen in Russia?
It would never happen. They're the most diplomatic country ever.
Are you saying that they're holding Americans and Dakota Tubbs is their only hope of freedom?
Some shit happened.
I love that people are like, yeah, he went on a backpack hiking trip to Iran and somehow he disappeared. Who knew?
Now, I don't know why he would have disappeared, Monty. He was the nicest guy. Never had any ill will towards anyone. Bless his little heart.
Why are you going to I've never understood this. I love to travel. I'm passionate about playing shitty golf in other countries and states and stuff. Like, I don't mind.
My ability to throw clubs across this country is unmatched.
I don't throw clubs anymore. Now, do I lose golf balls in rivers? Sure I do. Right?
My ability to slice a ball into the Euphrates River is incredible.
Eventually, I'll learn how to hit my irons again. Probably not. But what I'm telling you is, why are you going?
Yeah, why take the risk? This is
in all seriousness.
Why take the risk and travel to these dangerous areas of the world? Because again, there are so many options. Like you can go like, okay, hey, Monty, I want to go to a tropical destination. Okay, well, there's a long list of tropical places that you could go that are very safe. Hawaii would be the number one on the list for me, right? Obviously, you could do some nice things in Florida. That's pretty tropical, depending on the time of year and weather, obviously. But you can do some nice things there. Like, again, like it's the whole, Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, Monty. We're completely safe there. Yeah, you might be a little safer in Puerto Rico than you are in Mexico. But the next time someone dies in Puerto Rico, or the next time, how about this? The next time you get stuck on that island, if you want to call it that, because there's a hurricane rolling in that's going to just wreck the island, won't be the last time that happens to someone, dude. So again, why are we going to these dangerous areas when we can go to many other places?
And it's like the American teenager. That was 2 spring breaks ago. This American teenager winds up getting murked in Mexico, and I believe it was Cancun. You know how he died? He was drunk on the street and got arrested and thrown in jail, and they brutally beat him to death in a Mexican jail. Oh. So again, now I'm questioning your sanity of going to Mexico, but if you're a 17-year-old, which I think, if I'm wrong, excuse me, 19, 16, whatever the hell he was, and you're drunk in Mexico and you get arrested for public urination, should I feel bad that you're dead because you got beat to hell in a Mexican jail?
Macaque.
Gonna say I'm not feeling bad for you. I'm not. And there is a travel advisory out, I would remind you.
That's a rough way to die, dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. They say amongst the dangers in Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and Tulum, especially after dark, drownings, drugs, guns and ammunition, medical emergencies, pharmaceuticals, Americans dying by buying counterfeit pharmaceuticals on the streets.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
On the streets
Bro,
of
you're out
Playa
here
del
buying
Carmen.
fentanyl in Mexico.
Sexual assaults, unregulated alcohol that contains chemicals and contaminants.
All gas, no break.
They're finding people dying in their resorts because there's no, like, one of the things that happened several years ago, and I want to say this was also in the tropics. Oh my God, I can't think of that. The East Coast tropics, whatever. Anyway,
Like the Caribbean?
Caribbean. Thank you. In the Caribbean nations, the people that build these resorts are unlicensed. So they found that they put the wrong cooling agent, Freon or whatever you want to call it, in the air conditioners in these two particular resorts, killing tourists who just come back to go to sleep. And, hey,
People going to heaven.
but other than that, and what is one of the number one things you have to be careful of when you go to Mexico? Oh, that's right. Cartel and gang violence.
Oh, who knew?
Who doesn't want to
Come
go
on,
to Playa
dude.
del Carmen and Cancun?
So again, I ask you guys, why is it we're going to Mexico?
I don't know. Tanner Plummer, when I was in Cancun, all the guards there had machine guns. Now, this is just me.
Now, were you there as a vacationer or as a missionary?
No, he went there, I believe. Didn't you go there for a wedding, I believe? If the cops have machine guns, there's a reason they're not.
This is not Call of Duty, my guy. This is real life.
Andy Blackwell, Taco Bell is as close as I'm getting to Mexico.
Yeah, I'm
not going to Mexico. Robert Fowler, my brother and his wife are on a European cruise for 3 weeks, and they just went around the coast of Africa. I'm going to be freaking out till I know he got back home safely. Isn't there a cruise ship problem right now?
I don't know, man. There's always a cruise ship problem. It's a cesspool of infections.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah.
Right? Nah, bro. I'm staying my ass here in LA. Take my chances having been robbed or anything, then go to Mexico. South America, islands, Australia, and even Europe now. No thanks. Australia's great. Europe's great. 10 years ago, I was in London with Mrs. Monty and I. My memories are coming up on social.
But see, like in London, you're not worried about dying, dude. Like you're fine.
Yeah. Way back in the day at Fort Bliss in El Paso, tons of GIs went over to Mexico and Juarez. It kept the area in business. Remember that? Remember when I was 20 something and Mrs. Monty and I walked over the border to go to Tijuana? That was fun. Juarez, you used to be able to do that. Now Juarez, they hang dead bodies from overpasses in Juarez. I'm not going to Juarez.
Why would you? This is what I'm trying to understand.
I don't know.
What makes it attractive to people to go to like Juarez or Tijuana or like
I don't know.
Like why?
Big Daddy Magic. Hey, playa. I will never vacation in Mexico because the drug cartel they own day of the week games. Okay.
Victor's the way.
Hey, man. El Paso. That is as Mexico as you can get in this country. Tanner, yes, I went there for a wedding. I think Americans who speak Spanish feel more comfortable going to Mexico. So you think speaking Spanish makes it safer for you? I speak a little Spanish and my mom's side speaks fluently. Hey, man, more power to you. Let me know how it goes because I'm never going to Mexico.
Yeah.
Steve Stepanek, Disney Kids cruise ship used to stop at Epstein Island. No, it did not.
Bro, chill.
I would take a pass on Mexico, McClanahan said.
Yeah.
There were like 100 guards with machine guns and they had armored vehicles. I felt safe.
Dude. See, that's the difference between us, bro.
Yeah.
You see that and you feel safe. I see that and I'm like, all right, cool. When we leaving?
Yeah. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I'm not interested in getting into some gunfight.
Shooter, Texas. Juarez is pretty horrible, but El Paso ain't much better. Why would you go to either one?
Yeah.
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 Come for the cheap beer, stay for the donkey shows, Troy. Remember that in Tijuana? Dude, it used to actually be fun tourism. Now it's not. Forget the 10-foot pole not touching Mexico with an 11-foot pole. Joseph Carruthers, London, no guns. Cancun, machine guns.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Like, there's a clear difference here.
Dude,
Like,
nah, bro. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
That is not my thing. But also very happy to report. Breaking news. Self-checkouts are going away. Praise the union worker. So this has always been my argument. I think self-checkout takes jobs away from hardworking Americans. And I think, one, they lead to more theft, which leads to higher retail prices.
one of the main reasons they're going away
is theft. But also, I believe that when you're a 17-year-old, 19-year-old, 25-year-old, and you need a good, consistent paying job, being a cashier at a grocery store paid many a month's rent for me. And I was proud to be in a union then. I believe that unions are really important in this country, and self-checkout is a way to damage union workers. And then they figured out that, oh yeah, hey, maybe the human being actually scanning barcodes is what we should be doing.
Yeah, so part of it's half and half. So half of it is the what they call shrink, theft out of the store.
Huge.
They did a study where some people said that they accidentally just mis-scanned things and the system didn't catch it. And then there was another big chunk of people who admitted to intentionally using self-checkout to steal things. So there's no question one way or the other, the store is losing a bunch of profit on it. But what they also realized is that self-checkout boomed during the pandemic because obviously human interaction was way down during the pandemic. And now that we've left the pandemic, what they're finding is self-checkout is actually less efficient than human beings checking people out, because the human being, like at a grocery store, knows all the barcodes, knows the codes to the produce, like can get you through. And
faster.
And for the store, obviously, you're not going to have shrink when there's a human being standing right there. So Target's adjustment has not been removing self-checkout, but limiting the kiosks that are available based on time of day. So like, you'll see at a lot of Targets now, they may have 6 or 7 kiosks, but only 2 of them are open, let's say, or whatever. Walmart's gone to either taking them out altogether or limiting the number of items you can check out with at self-checkout. Because that was, before the pandemic, that was the origins of self-checkout. Hey, if you're just getting like 2 things, we don't want to back up the cashier line. So go ahead and use self-checkout. It's 2 things. Shrink's not going to be a big problem on that. Like, we're good with that. And now it's become a thing where we're so antisocial that, self-checkout is all anyone wants to use. So you're going to see this start to go back to cashiers, which I appreciate. I like self-checkout, but there are times based on the kiosk you're using where it is a big pain in the ass.
I think it is the only place it works well for the store is Costco, because they have multiple layers.
Yeah.
But even Costco is seeing shrink through self-checkout. The only other place it works well is at convenience stores like Maverick, where they're seeing massive shrink with their self-checkout.
Yeah.
There's no way to stop people from doing.
Well, and the convenience store thing is tough because it's easy for people to just throw the candy bar in their pocket, or you're not like buying towels at a convenience store.
Yeah.
You're buying small items.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Self-checkout's a joke.
Yeah.
I think American workers need those opportunities. And I think, dude, with where the jobs numbers came in last week and where our economy is going and where real estate's going and where buildings going, jobs are important. I think we all lose perspective and we think the job market is plentiful. I think we as a country need to do more to support our garden variety American worker.
Yeah.
And I think self-checkout is one of those places where we tried to save money and it didn't save money. It wound up costing money.
Well, and it's the old adage, right? I mean, the you know, we always talk about the middle class, but I think the higher end of the lower class is the workhorse of the country. I mean, you
Because
need.
I don't believe we have a middle class anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you're either making over 100 and you're doing halfway decent, or you're really struggling and not doing well at all. And that's the problem. And whether we're talking about housing last week or jobs this week, like they are mirror images of each other. We have $1 million homes, but we don't have $300,000 homes. We have, hey, skill-based tech job that, you're either doing sales or writing code or something. Like, you have a skill set that allows you to get that job, or you don't.
But remember when trade school used to be something to be proud of?
Yeah.
When you were, again, and I'll keep saying this word, a union electrician, a union plumber, when you could be a union truck driver, a teamster.
Yeah.
When, like, I grew up in a house of teamsters, which is probably why I love unions and believe in unions, and I think they're critically important. But now anymore, we shame electricians, we shame plumbers, we're not proud of truck drivers.
Which I really don't understand, because like truck drivers are a great example. Without truck drivers, our country's dead. Like our commerce and everything you're done. Like I saw over the weekend, probably a 25 to 30-year-old woman driving for Amazon, hustling her ass off, dropping packages off. And I'm like, that's great, man. Like, do you, like, we need more young people doing that type of thing. And that's why it's like, I've always been like, I was always in support of, hey, like, don't go to college, go to trade school, get skills that will feed your family for the next 50 years.
And Amazon's a great example. Like, I bought a squatty potty over the weekend, and when it gets delivered, I'm going to tell Alexa to thank my driver. That's going to happen.
So is this the Monty version of a bidet?
No. I'm telling you now, if you are not telling, every time you get an Amazon delivery, say, hey, Alexa, thank my driver.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
I did. My wife came to me over the weekend, and she was bowing down, asking me for forgiveness for her a massive level of disrespect and hurt that she had inflicted upon my feelings and my soul. So while we were having our $300 steak dinner the other night, or was it yesterday during the snowpocalypse? Anyway, she came to me and she said, I want to surprise you. I bought something on Amazon.
Oh, dear. Oh, my.
She got it. Oh, my. Do you know what a squatty potty is?
It's that thing you put on the floor to raise your feet up to make it easier to drop nukes.
Drop nukes.
And it has, have you already tested it? It's not here yet.
It'll be here. But I'm a big believer in squatty potties. You put your feet up on this little stool, and it puts it puts the scope of your intestines perfectly in the crosshairs on the target.
Yeah, it drops it into the slot, man.
It does. And squatty potties
They do say it helps, though, seriously.
And there's nothing, I'm telling you, in this world, you need to celebrate your pooping action, because presumes nothing like it, man. If you don't have a squatty potty in your bathroom. Yeah. Dropping warheads on the foreheads. Yeah. I'm just telling you. If you do not have a squatty potty in your bathroom, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you now.
Yeah, man.
So Mrs. Monty came to me.
Honey. Was this before or after the patio furniture situation?
After, way after. Fuck. So we get this patio furniture. Yeah, we get this patio furniture. Saturday night, I believe a hurricane went through my backyard. We paid $2,300 for this patio furniture. Comes with a cover. Tornado through the backyard. The cover is literally on my porch. And I noticed this at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, damn it. We just paid all this money. So I get out of bed, hobble down the stairs. Mrs. Monty and I pull all the cushions in.
Yeah.
And then the security camera in my garage just turned off. I'm telling you, the apocalypse is here.
Vexes me.
It's here.
Yeah.
All right. The Monty Show is always presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business. You can chat with an attorney 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com, where you never pay them a penny. It will not cost you a dime to chat with an injury attorney right now. You got hurt at work, got in a car accident. Hey, if you're out on your bicycle, you didn't deserve to get hit by that car on your bicycle. If Jake hit you with a slice off his driver, you didn't deserve that. Get to The Advocates at theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.